What's up guys, this is Chris here, and today we're going to be talking about my 5 favorite carry guns, because it's a pretty popular subject on my channel and I try to cover concealed carry more so than everything. So I think it's a good overview of what at least I like to carry, and maybe that can give you a good example of what maybe you should get or if you should upgrade. Before I get into the video, I do want to mention my Patreon supporters. Thank you guys very much. You guys are the biggest support of the channel and we really appreciate you. If you want to support the videos, that's the best way to do it. We try to make content for you and not the industry. So click that description below and there'll be a link there, and all you gotta do is sign up. Also in that description is a link to a local shelter named Iowa. It's the YSS. Those kids could really use your help. So please go down there and donate to those kids. So I wanted to talk about 5 of my favorite carry guns, but I want to talk about them based on how much I carry them and why. And it's not gonna be right for everybody, but it's right for me. So that being said, the P365. I think the P365 is one of, if not the best carry gun on the market, and it's certainly one of the most popular for good reason. It was the first gun to really introduce that stack and a half magazine. With the flush fit or the fingered mag, the finger extension mag, you get 10, and with a pinky extension, you get 12 rounds in a magazine of a gun that's extremely small. 3-inch barrel, 19-ounce overall weight, striker fired polymer frame pistol. We have good features on the P365. We talked about many times, or many variations of them, from the small guy up to the XL, up to the X Macro, which is a much bigger version of this. So if this is too small for you, check out the XL. That's a very popular gun, and that's actually the one that you go to now, right? You're carrying the XL Spectre Comp, not this one. But this is the one you were carrying for quite a while. So I was training with this, but at least I get a little better gun with the XL. I'm a big guy, so I prefer a bigger gun. And now you're carrying the super awesome version, the Coyote version with the compensator. Now the P365 line also has the fire control unit, so if you pick up one of these small ones, you want a bigger one and you don't want to do any paperwork or anything like that, you can just get a slide, you can get a frame, and you can make it yourself, which is very cool. They come with dedicated optics mounts, different kinds of optics mounts, different kinds of sights. They come with rails or without, and I prefer the Spectre Comp or the Coyote version, which is basically a Spectre Comp, because it has that included comp on the end, and small guns can be really snappy, so it makes this gun much easier to shoot, although this is very shootable. You guys have seen it many times, but I can even shoot this little gun very fast, and I have a big guy with big hands. The trigger's good on these, and the reliability is very good. We've had 5 or 6 of these 365s now, and overall I think they're a pretty good gun, and probably the best gun SIG makes, besides maybe the 226. Obviously that's not a carry gun for most people, and I think the 365 is a phenomenal choice. I think they come with great exciting options. I think they come with pretty decent recoil, really good reliability, and nowadays in particular, systems are everywhere. And what I mean by that is you can get a 365, you can get a holster, you can get some mags, and you can get going and concealed carry right away, and that's important. This is my holster. This is my Phalanx concealment holster. They don't sponsor me. They've never sent me a holster. I like their holsters. So yeah, and I get them in different colors as well. So because I have a lot of guns, and I want to know immediately which holster I'm pulling out of the container. Now you could write it on there. You could put a piece of tape on there and use a Sharpie or something, but that's just the way I do it. At number 4, the CZP-07. Now this was my favorite carry gun for many years, and it's very beat up and there's lots of rounds through it. That being said, I do carry a little bit less now than I used to, and that partly is just because new guns, new technology, smaller, lighter, faster, everybody loves that. So the P07 is a phenomenal gun. It's an amazing, great duty gun, very reliable, very accurate, 15-round magazine, 28-ounce double single action gun, and that's important because I do still carry it because of that. I love the double action. I love the grip. I've never had a gun that fits me more perfectly than this. It's a very accurate gun, and they're cheap. They're like 400, 450 bucks. I Cerakoted this myself, can you tell? My wife was actually commenting earlier, because I've changed the sights multiple times, but I like to shoot a lot of long distance shooting and a lot of precision shooting, so I have a very narrow front fiber optic with a narrow blacked out rear, and it allows me a lot of accuracy. Now low recoil on the P07 just simply because look at the slide mass, very small, slides very close to the frame, and very low reciprocating mass and a lot of mass on the bottom, and it also has a very large trigger guard. So the 2 reasons why I love this gun: super reliable, unbelievably reliable, maybe the most reliable handgun we've ever had on the channel. Then you have the double action, which protects my junk because I like to carry appendix. And the reason why I like to carry appendix, A, I have back issues, B, it's easy to get to in scuffles, and every scenario that my life's ever been in danger in my life personally has started with hands-on. So I like to have something I can get to quickly, especially in guard. So I used to do no-gi jiu-jitsu, and it's just natural for me. If somebody knocks me down without my knowledge, which has happened to me, that's a way I've been introduced to the fight. I wasn't paying attention, got punched in the face, and now I'm on the ground. Once you start the fight from your ass, it's good to have an appendix carry gun, especially if they have a crowbar or a knife or something. And then obviously if you have an arm tied up, it's just easy to draw from appendix. So I like those pros, and the con of that obviously is blowing off your junk, and you can fix that by having a double single action gun, or you can have a gun that you're really confident with, or a holster you're really confident with, which is why I'm so biased about holsters, because holsters can cause negligent discharges, especially old leather holsters. I love the look, don't get me wrong, but you would never catch me appendix carrying with a leather holster because I like my balls and I use them. So don't do it. Because what happens is they bend over time, no matter how quality they are, and eventually they can get pinched in the trigger guard. But the other thing you can do with a double single action gun, it doesn't just cause you to have the long trigger, which is a safety, but when you reholster, you can actually hold the back of the hammer. So you can fix the issues altogether. I like that a lot. So it's reliable, it's accurate, it's double action, which I like. And then finally, this has been my winter carry gun for years because it has a gigantic trigger guard. And in the winter in Iowa, it's very, very cold. You know, 30, sometimes 50 degrees below zero with wind chill, just crazy. And you're not going to be outside without gloves. Even if you go to the store for like 5 minutes, you're going to have gloves on. So you got to be able to shoot with those gloves. And in this case, I absolutely can, because trigger guard's huge. So it isn't for everybody, but it certainly is for me in my lifestyle. And also I'm large, so large and relatively slim, so it's a little bit easier for me to conceal bigger size guns than most people. So the thickness of it is what some people complain about. That's just not an issue for me. And even in the winter, you notice I have the sandpaper grips on. People ask me about that, but in the winter I actually carry my holster is over a tucked in shirt. So I take my white undershirt and I tuck it in my pants, and I don't even feel that on my stomach at all. So again, for me, maybe not for you. And this is one of the holsters that I use. This is actually just a cheap eBay holster that didn't really look like this. I actually dremeled the trigger guard off because I like to have my trigger guard, the bottom of the trigger guard available, because that's how I draw. When I draw the gun, I like to have the reference point in the beaver tail, and then I like to wrap my middle finger first. So all of my holsters will have that clear. Now let's get to number 3 here, and that's gonna be the Glock 43X. Now the Glock 43X was my go-to carry gun for a very long time. I absolutely love this gun. It's probably the highest selling gun of at least the last decade. The single stack version and one of the smallest versions of the Glock pistol. The smallest version you can get in 9mm. So they have a 3-inch barrel, they have a 10-round magazine, and a fixed 10-round magazine just like this. But unlike the SIG, it's single stack, so it's gonna be much smaller. So you can see here, this is the SIG mag, and this is the Glock 43X mag. So you can see that it's much longer, which is gonna give you a longer grip. Now that's good and bad. It's good because you can get a hold of it and it's easier to draw. And for a big guy like me, I can fit my whole hand on it, and I really like that. It helps me control the recoil, and I can shoot this gun way faster than I can the 365. I mean way faster, like twice as fast. And that's just because of that little inch of grip. An inch matters. So even though it has the same capacity, a little bit heavier, I think 1 or 2 ounces heavier, and it has the same barrel length. It actually shoots a lot better, but it does print more as well, because this also is the part of the gun that prints. So when I'm rocking, this is a, I don't know if this is the G-code holster. I think it's a G-code holster. I have like 10 holsters for the 43X, and I just grabbed the first one I saw. But you can see here, it definitely is gonna print significantly more than the P365. Ooh, try to line him up. But again, the upside of that is if you're on your ass and somebody's trying to kill you with a big butcher knife, boom, get to it quick. You know what I mean? And you can get a really positive draw. This one I actually have rubber Talon grips on. I know people don't like Talon grips, but if you noticed, I obviously do, because my carry guns all seem to have them if they don't have a lot of texture. And the reason for that is because I like a good positive grip, and it doesn't seem to bother my stomach like it does a lot of people. Now, I've heard a lot of tactical trainers in the past talk shit about Talon grips, and it's kind of laughable, right? Because they say, don't use Talon grips because eventually they'll come off. Well, if they come off, you just have the same fucking grip you had before. So it's like an escalator. If it breaks, it only becomes stairs. Now, I have changed some things on this because it's the Glock, so obviously you have to, I feel like, in order to carry. I have had some slide milling done, and this is not only a tri-top slide, but it has a good bit of texture on the front. And the reason for that is because I am one of those guys who like to run it from the front, and I really enjoy that you can do that on this gun. I have Ameriglow HD sights with a blacked out rear. That's the sighting setup I prefer. I like to have an HD thing to focus on quickly if I need to. A lot of these guns are iron sights as well, because I do like to carry an iron sight gun. I do still feel, for a lot of cases, that red dots are not really necessary in carry guns for me. Now, I know you can get more accuracy, it's easier sight picture, there's a lot of advantages of it, but I can shoot iron sights pretty good. I've been doing it since I was like 5, and I'm not 5 anymore, so it's been a while. Because I'm a gun reviewer, I actually end up shooting a lot more iron sight guns than I do red dots. So even though I prefer them on my competition guns, I'm very, very used to iron sights, and that's generally the sight plane that I go to first. They are more durable, they're not gonna fog up, and they're not gonna get shit in them, like you're not gonna get mud in them. And I just feel like a 0 to 10 yard shot, for me personally, there's no difference in speed or accuracy between irons or a dot, and a dot adds reliability issues, so I just don't do it. So that's just my preferred thing, but if you carry dot, absolutely go with that. I don't have any problems with anyone's personal preference. As long as you can hit accurately and the gun's reliable, carry what you want to carry. I like the Glock though because of its long grip, because of its reliability, because of its ergonomics. I trained on a Glock years and years ago when I went to school to be a police officer, and I've loved them ever since. I went from 1911 to a Glock, and for quite a while there I was a Glock guy, and I ended up airing back to the 1911, which we'll get to in a second, because of the trigger and because of the looks and performance. But Glock is certainly a great gun, very reliable, durable, and certainly a phenomenal choice for concealed carry. Now that I just got done talking about the 1911, a 1911. This is the Staccato C2. This one here kind of took the crown that the P07 had. So this is more my winter carry gun these days, or let's go with like a heightened sense of threat issue. Like I'm going places that I could go and potentially run into a situation more likely than normal. I pack a bigger gun, and a lot of people say, well, if you think you're gonna get in trouble, don't go there. Nobody tells me where I can or can't go. I just be prepared when you go there. You know, I'm gonna jump in the ocean, even though there's sharks. I'm just gonna look for them. So I carry the C2 when I feel like I'm in areas where I may need it, and just because it's a better, bigger, faster shooting gun. This is the fastest compact gun that you can get from the factory for a reasonable price. It is expensive. It is a $2,000 gun. And it's more expensive than all these guns combined, but it shoots better as well. And we have the 1911 battery of arms, which also works very well for me as an appendix carry gun because it has dual safeties. So we have a grip safety, and now grip safety is a big point of contention because you can inadvertently not engage that when you need to, so you need to have a lot of trigger time on these, especially in different actions. Like if you go to double action, it's not so bad because pull the trigger all the way to the rear and the gun's gonna go off. Now with a 1911 battery of arms, you do need to know what you're doing or the gun may not go off. So if you don't sweep that safety and you don't work that grip safety, the gun's not gonna work. So you really are gonna have to continuously beat that into your battery of arms, especially if you grew up on a Glock or a M&P and you're switching over to this, make sure that's in your neural pathways. Now we do have a dark side precision lower on this because I like extra texture. So you notice every single one of these has grip texture. And I do have the ambi safety on either side. I like that, and I like the combat hammer, and then obviously I love the trigger. So the Staccato C2 is about a 28-ounce gun, single action only, 4-inch barrel. So it's producing good velocity when it comes out, and all these are usually carried with 147 grain or 124 grain SIG performance, or they're carried with critical duty if they're over 4 inches or over, or they're critical defense if they're under 4 inches. And the reason for that is because Hornady made critical defense to expand better in short barrels. And I found personally with my testing that that's true. So that's the way I go. I like Hornady, and I know critical defense, critical duty has been kind of eclipsed, but they've always been good to me. I have so much reliability testing with those that I know they're gonna go off in all these carry guns, so oftentimes it makes me feel good. Now, the SIG Performance, I've been carrying a lot more lately because Elliot, the guy who owns Mr. Guns, he really recommends it. He's done a lot of ballistic testing on it. I've seen a lot of ballistic testing done with gel and meat and stuff. You know, check out Paul Harrell's channel, and they do very, very well. Now, heavier bullets are not impeded as much by velocity, so oftentimes a 124 grain or a 147 grain, in my opinion, works better in a 4-inch or under gun because you have the weight and you don't rely so much on the velocity for expansion. Now, super slick gun, bull barrel, and it's the most accurate gun on the table and one of the most accurate guns you can buy. You can hit, if you have the skill, you can hit with this at 100 yards. That's 100%. And you can do it 10 out of 10 if you have the skill. Very accurate, very precision machine, very, very fast. The trigger on 1911s is second to none. So we've got a 4-pound trigger pull, roughly, 3.5, but it's very short travel. So you have a very small amount of space to fuck that up. You can see here, if you blink, you'll miss it. And then the reset, is very, very fast. So if you want quick follow-up shots, this is where it's at. Recoil and pulse is very, very low because we're defeating a hammer spring while we're going back, plus the ergonomics are great, plus the grip is outstanding. Now we have these Staccato Gen 2 magazines here, and you can see the critical duty rocking in these. And you get 17 rounds in my backup magazine and then 15 rounds in my primary magazine. And I usually carry it with the LAS concealment or Tier 1 concealment holsters. I like both of those a lot, and when I'm packing a little extra heat, I like to have a little extra heat, so I usually do the sidecar magazine. Now, I'm not one of those guys that carries a backup magazine all the time, although you probably should, because the best way to clear malfunction is to get rid of that shitty mag. However, not everybody can do that all the time. If I'm just running up to the gas station, I usually just carry the 365, but sometimes I do stow a spare magazine in my pocket. It's rare that I bust out these sidecar holsters for small guns, but for something like the Staccato C2, I usually do, because I do train with them, so why not carry? It's not that big of a deal. Now, great draw out of these, and I've never had one of these pop out of my belt or anything like that, and I absolutely recommend these. I have one of the old school T-Rex arms holsters, and I prefer this over that just simply because of the bendiness of the sidecar holster. It makes it feel more comfortable when I'm sitting for long periods of time. But I think the new sidecar holsters from T-Rex do this as well. So get whatever holster fits you the best. Honestly, I could tell you what holster you should get, and then you could try it and you think I'm full of shit because you have a different body than me. So get a good quality Kydex holster that fits good. We're not gonna do any honorable mentions because there's a lot, and we'll probably do a follow-up to this video at some point. I don't know if you guys want to see these annually because I do switch them. Lorraine, my wife, is also going to be doing her favorite carry guns here shortly. She's actually working through it right now. That being said, let's get into number one with the gun I've pretty much been carrying almost exclusively over the past few months. I haven't carried anything else. We took this all the way to Oklahoma City. We took it to Charleston. I mean, this has been my go-to companion for quite some time now. And I do believe it is my preferred carry gun for almost everything. And I do believe it's nearly perfect. And that is going to be a pheasant, apparently. Ooh, might be having pheasant for dinner. No, I'm kidding. So this is my Shield Plus Performance Center. This is the comped version with the Performance Center trigger. And this is absolutely insane. The Performance Center version comes with a little better texture. He really wants to be in the video. But anyway, this is a 3-inch polymer frame pistol, striker fired, and it's obviously a 9mm, and like the SIG, it is a stack and a half. This is the magazine right here, so it's very similar to the SIG, as I said, stack and a half, but a hair longer. You still get 10 rounds of SIG Elite Performance, which is very nice. And you can see them here compared head to head that the Smith is definitely shorter, although it's not as short as the SIG. So it's kind of what you want. And you get 10 rounds out of the Glock, you get 10 rounds out of the Smith, you get 10 rounds out of the SIG. The smallest grip with the SIG, medium grip with the Smith, and then a large grip with the Glock. And those are with the base models. Obviously, you can get larger versions of the Smith and a larger version of the P365. I was just kind of showing the difference in grip size because the magazine obviously fits flush, so it's a good way to show it. This is just my preferred size. It's small enough that I carry it. I literally don't even know it's there, just like the SIG. I notice no difference for me in comfortability between the SIG P365 and the Shield Plus, although I shoot the Shield Plus twice as fast. Part of that's due to the trigger. So you can see the trigger on the Smith, very light, very crisp, and the reset, very fast. I've got a lot of practice on the Smith. A little bit longer than the Staccato, but it's also $1,500 cheaper. So there is that. Now, one of the things that helps is I really like the grip of the M&Ps in general and the grip of the Shield. And on top of that, we've got good serrations on it, so it's easy to grab. I've got those, I think these are actually Trijicon HD sights, but they're very similar in sight picture to all the other ones that you've seen, including the Ameriglows that I have on the Glock. You see a lot of continuity with my guns because that way you don't have to train through new stuff. So I like that sight picture, and I'm a big fan of that, and I can shoot this gun from 0 to 100 yards, and I can shoot it extremely quickly up close. I can draw it really fast, and those are kind of my requirements for a gun. On top of that, it's lightweight, it's easy to carry, there's no sharp edges on it at all, so the whole time I've been carrying it, I have never experienced any rub on my stomach or any pinched body part of any kind, or I've never cut my hand pulling out of the holster or anything like that. Trigger guard's just big enough for glove hands, not quite as big as like the CZP-07 or something like that, but obviously you can still get your finger in there and run the gun. 3-inch barrel, and you lose a little velocity with the porting, but you do gain a lot of recoil control and you gain a lot of speed. Very reliable, very accurate, very fast, relatively cheap, and absolutely everything I would want in a carry gun. To me, that's why I carry it. Also, I can get the holsters I want, and I get the mags I want, and they're very available, and the gun runs the ammunition I like. So has all the factors I want for a carry gun, and on top of that, like I said before, super comfy, so that's why it rides with me most of the time. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. If you want to see future videos on stuff like this, let me know what you want to see. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Peace out, your Oklahoma shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later.